Welcome to the breakdown where we break down all the messed up shit. Firstly, I want to say thanks for all of the positive comments and emails after my last video. To update y'all on it, I do feel that I may have had a bad reaction in particular to this rare film I talked about. It was more of the camera quality and the points of views of death that gave me anxiety rather than the dead bodies themselves. Perhaps that's a good way to put it. I guess I don't really want to cross that line with shockumentaries and stuff like that. Before we get into the film of today, let me introduce Screepy Week. Next week is Screepy Week, in which we will do a lot of cool things, so make sure y'all have your bells clicked and stay tuned. On to this film, Girl Hell, 1999, or just Girl Hell. This title isn't just some random English assortment, it literally refers to this girl, Misaki, and her inhabitants in a girl hell, one where all the men are perverts or murderers. Now I think we should get into it. I don't want to say too much off the bat, so if you want to see what happens, including all the messed up parts, stay tuned for the breakdown. Cue to go on. Let me formally introduce you to Misaki, a real weirdo. She's alright, I guess, but to be truthful, this scene right after here is after disaster. Let's go back to the beginning to get an idea of how she ended up all bloody. It all begins in this industrial setting. These two workers are chatting about romantic experiences like dating and such. The one on the left I'll just call Nezumi, and the one on the right is named Kenji. If it wasn't obvious, they have no dating experience, but what they do have experience in is rape and murder. They don't seem murderous, especially since they talk about their deeds like they're talking about any other regular subject. Kenji here says he is tired of rape, and that's because he fell in love with some girl from a distance. That girl is Misaki, who's on her way back to Grove Street. She looks happy-go-lucky on the outside, but really, she only finds enjoyment in one thing: visiting this homeless woman. She's a few sandwiches short of a picnic, so it's good someone is helping her out. Her fascination with this baby doll reminds me of the crazy lady from Terrifier. Anyway, Misaki alerts herself to the lady, calling her Barbara, which is like a nickname because Baba means hag. Damn, all you brought was a loaf of bread? No meat, no spread? She attempts to feed that baby doll, but it seems like all it wants is milk, and not from a bottle. Misaki seems sad seeing something related to motherhood. Meanwhile, inside a storage closet, a middle-aged man is having sex with a schoolgirl, doing compensated dating. The audio you're about to hear is someone who had too good of a time. Anyway, the client wants the tissue she used. I'm not saying what's on the tissue, but the takeaway is that she's about to make more money because he wants to keep a souvenir. Anyway, back with Misaki, someone jacked her bike seat. Who steals bike seats? Now she gotta walk all the way home. While walking, she meets up with a girl who is doing compensated dating. It looks like they're best friends. Overall though, she seems to be a little jealous of Misaki. She finds her way home, but it's clear she dreads going back. That's how I look after realizing I gotta get out of bed. Inside is moaning from two people. First, look at this house. The sink is a mess. If I lived in a place this dirty, I might as well go rest outside. A painful scream scares Misaki into dropping a dish, and her deadbeat father, nasty ass father, comes out bullying her. Her incestuous dog of a father causes her to break and commit this gruesome self-harm. It's not the first time, since her arm is all bandaged up. That moaning we heard was actually her father raping her big sister, but that's not the worst part. Her sister is disabled after a vicious car accident. It means he taped her up in this position she shouldn't be in, and also dressed her up in this old school uniform. Every dude in this movie is sick and perverted. The sister has a deeper voice than I thought, but she questions why her coward sister doesn't call for help, believing Misaki to be jealous of her past and happy that her sister is invalid now. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I wouldn't count it out. Later that night, a blood moon illuminates, a sign of disaster, and possibly also a sign that this movie is based on another Earth. I'm not just saying that, it just literally feels like another universe. The thing about this household is that Misaki's mom left the whole family behind. This is spoken about from Kenji here, which is weird how he even knows about this in the first place. Kenji believes he can make amends for all that he's done if he dates Misaki, a girl seemingly selfless and good. Meanwhile, Misaki is hanging with Barbara again, but becomes intrigued seeing her give that titty milk to her baby doll. The baby doll is called Haruka, by the way, like Kiryu's daughter. I'm sorry for mentioning Kiryu so much, but it's just like what a guy, you know? Anyway, Misaki looks into the mirror. What I mean by that is that she sees herself as Haruka in a way. She really misses her mother. Unexpectedly, Barbara gives Misaki a big old hug, just out of sheer happiness, I guess. But even Barbara's crazy ass didn't think Misaki would grab a hold of her titty and start getting herself some baby food. Honestly, it's presented in a sexual way almost, but truly I guess she just wants to feel loved like Haruka the doll was, even if it was fake. Back at home, Misaki stops her father from raping her sister with a knife in hand. Sorry if it's a bit too dark, but we already know how this is going to end up. The father is like, "You hate me? Well, your mother is the one who abandoned us for another man." Misaki thought she left because she wanted to escape her abusive husband. Either way, she's trash. Like, why would you leave your kids behind? This random black and white zoom in happens a lot. Maybe it's representing some kind of mental break in Misaki's mind. The next morning, while Misaki dazes off, she suddenly gets interrupted by an awkward Kenji. Without even introducing himself, obviously nervous, he hands her a note saying to meet him at this bridge after school. Oh brother, after school? She doesn't show up. Not because she doesn't care, because she talks all about it to her best friend here. Kenji takes it personally, and his friend prematurely convinces him she isn't coming, and that they should take revenge on her for not meeting up with him. How should they attack her? The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind. They feel that they must attack her heart. Her heart lies with Barbara. They roll up on Barbara like she stole something. This is probably not the last time, but how many times do I gotta say this is why we need people like Kiryu? He wouldn't stand for no hobo harassers. In the struggle, they tear off the doll's baby's head and knock her to the floor. But one wrong step on Barbara gets the dude covered in a milk facial. Last time I said that was on Gozu. She's then beat brutally with the bat to death. After she is dead, Kenji's friend has sex with the body. Later, Misaki comes to the bridge. She came a little later than usual, meaning the two idiots didn't have to try to take revenge if they waited a few more minutes. Not to mention, she feels stood up too. This is a funky situation. Back at home, Misaki stands in dread of going inside like usual, but randomly some man startles her. He knows her full name too. He presents himself as some kind of educational worker, wanting to talk about a scholarship. She doesn't want to talk inside her toxic household, so he suggests a brief talk in his car. I wasn't expecting him to have a servant though. Sure enough, looks like this educational worker is some kind of rich pervert. Meanwhile, the father is interrupted from his habitual rape of his daughter. Somebody's knocking on the door. It's Kenji and Nazumi, and they do everybody a favor by killing the father. I love when bad people kill other bad people. The two men then torture Misaki's sister by spraying water all over her. I don't think that's good for the scars and stuff like that. They both then rape her, and blood is left all over the shower floor. Back with Misaki, turns out he was the one who stole Misaki's bike seat. The rich man gives it back to her in addition to some money, but she rejects him, saying she didn't want help from a weirdo like him. She runs back home, discovering her dead father and also her deceased sister. See how she running out yelling for help? Wish she would have did that any other time she walked in on her father assaulting her sister. The rich pervert hears the commotion and holds her as she passes out from the grief. She later wakes up, but she is tied up and gagged. This rich pervert is going to take advantage of her in one of the weirdest ways I've ever seen. He brings out some weird straw device, sticks the pipe end inside of her meow, and drinks up something. Nasty pee drinker. He then lets her out. she walks away with a final mind break. You would think she is now about to let loose. She's walking to find Barbara, but the two murderers surprise her in the middle of her walk. She gives them a ghostly, detached look before getting yeeted on the ground. She seems dead, if anything, depriving the two of the predatory satisfaction they want. They want her to scream and beg, but since she isn't, Kenji can't get hard. Nezumi makes fun of him for it, but gets murdered by Kenji with a screwdriver out of humiliation and anger. In the midst of the depraved moment, Misaki gets up and walks away. Finally, we are where we started, but that's not at all like what I thought would happen. I thought she was about to murder everyone. Well, she does kill someone, but not who you might expect. Misaki goes towards Barbara's camp, but instead of a dead Barbara, she finds a bruised Barbara. I'm surprised she is alive, but also she has a new doll in her hand. If you remember, Haruka, the other baby doll, got her head cut off. Misaki asks what happened to Haruka, but sees Haruka on the ground, abandoned, just like how Misaki's mom abandoned her. Misaki lashes out in a psychotic rage by beating Barbara up with a bat. It's a surprise she's even alive after so many bat swings. When Barbara does call out Haruka, I'm guessing it's like either taking back what she did by changing dolls or understanding Misaki's emotion. Misaki rejects it and kills Barbara with a bat to the head, knocking her head out of the park. And that's it. I went into this movie thinking I'd see some innocent idiot turn into a cold-blooded killer. I guess the film was more for the sake of just showing perverts and sickos. Now that we got through this film, let's talk about the most disturbed moment and most enjoyed moment, and that's spooky stuff. Okay, let's get right into it. The most disturbed moment is easily when Kenji and his friend broke in and raped and murdered Misaki's sister. I can see that scene scarring a lot of people, really. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and now you were stuck with seeing it for a bit. Plus, any kind of rape is usually the worst part of a movie. The most enjoyed moment is probably the ending. And I'm not saying that because I'm glad it's over. I'm saying that because that corny little killing scene was laughable. I wouldn't be surprised if Barbara is literally Misaki's real mom. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure you check out some similar videos if you haven't seen them before. Stay tuned for next week, Screepy Week. We got a lot of cool things to talk about. Thanks for watching. Spooky out.